Guys, what's going on? So, just thought since I have a few minutes to myself, let me do a video. As you may know, or not know, I did post a picture of I would say like a motivational picture per se. Now, obviously a lot of people who follow me later on probably didn't see the video because, well, that I did way back to obviously elaborate about the different stages and times I competed. So there were 3 times. There was meant to be 4 times, but there were 3 times. So I will elaborate a bit on that, but what I do want to point out, guys, is that obviously the question was being raised again. Damn, sticking my grays, bruv. Aging. Anyways, so the question obviously was asked, like, why don't you compete again? You know, even though, well, why don't you get back on it? There. But I'll say this. When I competed last, I had no financial difficulties, and this is all me being frank and honest. Like, you can say what you want, but obviously who I was back then is different to who I am now. So when I last competed, I was about 23, and that's like the bottom pictures that you'll see here. So I dieted for 6 months. I had a coach. He was alright, I guess. He kind of dropped me the last week, peak week. But other than that, we just name anonymous and we carry on. So throughout those 6 months, the diet was never meant to be 6 months. It was meant to be 3 months. I was supposed to compete at what's this thing called? I forget the name. So basically, it was like 3 or 4 months dieting, didn't peak. So basically, the last show that was left that I was eligible to compete in as under 23 was a show in Northwest. So I had to diet like extra 2 months. And remember, these 6 months, no cheat meals. It was me eating clean, doing cardio every single day. I don't know how I actually survived it, thinking back, because I'm like, damn, now I just get sick in an instant, but not because my immune system's weak. It's just because, you know, things, stress, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, to elaborate on the story more, I literally just stayed home, and that's what I did for these 6 months. So I definitely respect those who do compete now when they have jobs, when they have families, kids, all that kind of stuff. Not that I didn't respect it before, but obviously hindsight is very cool because you can kind of see back and see, oh well, shit, I competed, but there were so many different variables. Still had a family business, money wasn't an issue, literally, and things were fine. So I was able to compete. You know, I could afford that, or my parents literally helped me with that, grandmother, all that. So I don't make excuses, guys, because that's who I was back then. It doesn't reflect who I am now. It is what it is. And obviously back then, maybe pictures look like it tells a different story, but in the pictures I was weighing about 90 kilos when I competed, which again, it's not amazing, it's not great, but then again, it is what it is. So with that being said, if I had to compete now, obviously variables have to be checked. Have a job that's paying like a good amount, because then remember, their consolidation comes with that. Rent for a proper place, which obviously, you know, not yet. We are renting, we're sharing a place per se. So that factor has to be checked. And places are expensive. Like, I'm not beating around the bush. And also dieting in general is expensive. Food in general is much more expensive than it used to be. So these are the factors why, and it's not an excuse, because obviously people compete through these factors and people compete all through this. I'm not trying to say that I can't, but I'm just trying to say I don't want to. It's a fact. You don't have to do anything, literally, if you don't want to. Like my dad used to say, you don't have to do anything. And it's not because there's a lack of passion or any of that. It's just, I just want to be more solidified in what I do, have something that's a constant, and have something where, you know, both myself and my wife are sorted financially. And that's the main focus now. It's just to try and sort something out, because, as I said, like, I've come to the realization that I'm not getting any younger. And truth, this year's been a great year. If you've seen my before pictures, like how I used to be even last year compared to now, I'm obviously a bigger guy, quite a lot more muscle mass in me. I'm not saying I'm the leanest guy, but I had my moments this year. Down to like 13, 14%, 12%. So I had my moments, but then again, like, I never really had issues with eating, except when it came to like COVID time. Then that just kind of took over. And as I said, it's not an excuse, but like at the same time, if you're hustling for every penny, and say for example, right now, my good mate, he buys me a burger and chips. I'm not gonna say no, bro. You know what? I'm not gonna do it. I'm dieting. It doesn't really make sense. But then again, you can. It all depends if you want to, and that's what I want to say. If you really want to, and you do it for the fulfillment and enjoyment of the actual sport that you're doing, 100% do it. Nowadays, competing is a whole different thing. To me, what I've experienced, what I've seen, people do it just so they can get a sponsor. People do it just so they can get recognized. People do it just so they can put it up on the socials. It's a fact. Literally, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying quite a bit of people that I've seen have. And when I first started competing myself, it was purely because of the belief that this is a gift from here, and the belief that I was made to do this, born to do this. And now, obviously, a lot has happened, so I've second guessed a lot of it, literally. And that's also a demise of mine, I would say personally. Not now, but I'm saying the years beforehand was just to kind of give up and say, hey, you know what, I can't make it. And true, I mean, the guys that are like freaking 20 and stuff, bro, they jacked, they're huge. But then again, it's like, you can't let that be your determining factor in life, looking at someone else and be like, you know what, I'm not going to reach, I'm not going to try. This guy's just like way better. It's not about that. At the end of the day, you have to compete against yourself. At the end of the day, you want to be better than how you used to be. At the end of the day, you want to be your best. You know, not trying to beat this O specifically or anything. Cool. Competitiveness is great. But then again, when you let it get nasty, or when you know, things just turn into hatred, it's not right. And I've just seen it too many times. So, yeah, as I said, like, I don't think my competing days are over per se, but I just think the balls have to be aligned a lot better. As I said, like, for me, I don't ask for much in life, because I've had it where I had everything, where I had nothing. And it's good to find that balance between the both. Like, you know how to hustle and to push, but at the same time, you're financially stable, where, you know, you can get a car, medical aid, afford like your rent and all that kind of stuff, and not having to literally just buy scraps of food whenever money comes in, week after week. And people will be like, oh bro, that's such an exaggeration. But then again, everyone's different. No one walks in your shoes, and that's what I want to say. Truly, that's what I want to say. And I used to be the same. I used to be like, oh, you know, can't be that bad. How do people end up homeless? I used to be a dick. But then again, things happen. Things happen for a reason. So I learned to humble myself, and still, as I stand, be thankful to Yah for these experiences, good or bad. I should praise Him anyway. That's just how I'll be. So I just want to say that, guys. It was just a whole different time for me when I was 23 compared to now when I'm 30. But as I said, I still feel like now I got the potential still to be my best. Because the reality was, when I was 20, yeah, honestly, I think I was looking my best. So it was always a fight to be like, bro, am I going to be better at 23 than I am at 20? And I did a show after, well, the show at 20 I didn't do, because I got sick like 4 weeks out, and then I couldn't compete because I found out I had Gano, had like emergency operation and shit. But have to open the door, yeah, it's been a bit steamy, yeah. But yeah, as I said, like, it was a completely different time, and that's what you always have to consider when it comes to like trying to, I don't know, pick apart someone's story. You know, trying to find like, he should have done this. No ways, that's a lie. He should have just done the show. Fair. Whether you think you're right or wrong, that's what it is. That's what it is. But as I said, from my experiences after it all, 7 years hiatus, not competing, it is what it is. But that doesn't mean that I'm satisfied. Definitely not. I wanted to obviously compete this year. I was in my mind, and then obviously things went downhill, and it's financially, and obviously having to sort out my wife. Not that it's a burden to me, it's definitely not. My main responsibility now is to ensure that she is sorted, ensure that we as a unit are sorted. And that wouldn't have been me back in the day. It would just be kind of more self-centered. As I say, I'm not afraid to admit it, because it is what it is. I was that way, but not anymore. And I just want to say, if you truly love the sport that you do, bodybuilding aside, any sport, chase after it, try your best. Literally, in the day, never think that you can't surpass what you once did, because you always can. You just have to have that belief and drive and discipline, and things things have a funny way of kind of working out in the end. As like for my example, like I thought like, hey, you know what, no matter what kind of gear and stuff I take, I'm just gonna look like trash. And I've kind of turned it around. I'm not saying again I am happy where I am. I feel this is still a journey. I feel that my eating habits need to be a lot better to kind of get to where I deserve. I won't say deserve, but I'll kind of get to where I ought to be for myself, literally. And then again, like whenever you take juice or gear or use kind of substances, for me, whenever that occurs, your first thought is like, the biggest guy ever, Ronnie Coleman. Let's say, okay, Marcus Rule. Let's just throw out the names, like what people think if you tell them you're using gear. And that's another like factor that kind of blows people's minds out the water and makes them kind of double think everything. If you're not a certain way after using a certain thing, you kind of feel worthless. You kind of feel, you know what I mean, like is it all really worth it? But at the same time, I've just come to learn, be grateful for what you have, because you never know what it can be taken away. And I am a living example of that. Family business for over 30 years. One day my buddy just told me, boy, best look for opportunity elsewhere, because we're not going to make it. And you never want to hear those words, especially from your dad, who tried to provide, tried his hardest, and to be in the industry where, let's face it, tools and hardware, not anyone's passion per se. I mean, geez. But yeah, I miss those days. I won't lie. I regret being a dick, a brat about it, complaining, and oh, I want to go to Durban, and hey, I want better, where the better was in front of me. But you know, it is what it is. Hindsight, man. As I said, hindsight's crazy, bruv. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. And I just want to say, never ever stop believing, man. Things have a funny way of turning out right when you least expect it, and I just want to say that. So that's my 2 cents, guys, and that's why I haven't competed since. There's been a lot happening. I haven't ever had a chance to, once the family business collapsed at the age of 28, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and be like, all right, let me focus, let me hone in my skills onto this specific show, let me do it. But not to say that I can't, but at the same time, my main primary focus with the Supplement Advisor TSA is to produce the best content I possibly can. Because with content, you can sell it to companies. With content, you can do amazing things with it and improve your own creativity and your own skills. And people see that and they utilize that. Not saying that competing is out of the question. Same for now. You can rake in income, you can look fantastic, all that shit, without even competing. And that's, I think, the main difference between now versus then. That you couldn't really do that. You couldn't really be like, unless you some, you know, Simian Panda or Yakuza Brain or something like that, where your physique is absolutely insane. And then, you know, I'm not saying that it didn't compete, obviously it did, but you know, these are the kind of examples. And where my head's at right now, my head is right now to just be better, get my diet sorted, and most importantly, get my life sorted, get my wife sorted, ultra important. And then, yeah, well, the most important thing as well, and everything will fall into play. Just remember, through him, all things are possible. Cheers, guys.